Hello, our YouTube friends out there. Welcome to Marne's Country Farmhouse. I'm Marne, and this is Jim, and I have little Tilly here being good. It's been a while since you've seen us. Not much has happened here lately. It's been super hot. Jim's been busy. I've been kind of scatterbrained, and like I said, I don't know. Haven't been doing much lately. I've been going to errands weekly on Fridays and helping her to give me some kind of a routine. But I thought maybe this would be a good time to talk about, it's been 6 months since our fire. And a lot of you have asked about what has happened, and we could talk about that and how far we've come in 6 months. I mean, can you believe it? It's going to be the 23rd of July, which is just a few days away. So, where do you think we should begin?
So some of the questions that people have asked, what started it? We have no idea. Well, the fire department doesn't know. The investigators don't know. I suspect it was electrical. That's the best I got, though. We'll at this point, we'll never know.
So January 23rd is a day that
will live in infamy forever.
Yeah, it's a day that you don't forget, because I remember everything about getting up that morning, and Jim was going to work, and he was going off to quite far away. Glenda spent the night with me, and so did our niece Lexi. And it was a very nasty day out that morning, I remember, because it was like freezing rain. And that morning before you went to work, I said, be careful, because you were going clear out to Geneseo. And I was hugging him goodbye. And I remember Tinker coming up, and he was kind of climbing up on our legs. And we picked him up and put him in between us. And I was kissing Jim goodbye, and I was like, look at our baby. He's our baby. You know, I had just lost Derby the month before, and Quincy, I lost Quincy December 7th, and I didn't really announce that to anybody. I mean, I don't really want to put my whole life out there. I mean, Quincy was 15 years old, and it was hard. And when we got Tinker after Derby had passed, I knew that Quincy was 15, and I was going to lose him too. So Tinker was like that rebound puppy that I just needed so that I wouldn't be dogless, childless, because my dogs are like my kids, you know? I mean, they supplement children for me. But that morning, we were hugging Tinker in between us, and it was just the moment that I won't ever forget. And I kissed Jim goodbye, and me and the girls had debated whether we wanted to go out. I had some cans that I was going to take back to the recycling, the New York State nickel cans. And usually I give the money to my niece Lexi for extra money. And we thought maybe we'd go to a thrift store or something that morning. So we got around, and like I said, I didn't know if I wanted to go out that morning because it was nasty out. And
I didn't think you were going out that day.
No, I didn't want to
stay home and hunker down.
Well, that was my plan.
Cold
but
and miserable and slushy and icy.
The girls wanted to do something, I guess. I don't know. So we got all the nickel cans around, and we loaded them up. And I thought about taking Tinker with me that morning, but I thought it's nasty outside, and if something happens, he's safer at home. Little did I know. We weren't gone. We only went to, was a 10, 15-minute ride to Painted Post. And we weren't gone 40 minutes, and Jim called me. And he said that he'd gotten a call and said that there was smoke in the house. And where was I in the house? He said, check and see, what's smoking. And I remember I had this fear coming over me. I'm not home. And I thought, this has to be a mistake, So, we raced home 80 miles an hour going up the highway. And I even passed a state trooper, and I thought, if he stops me, I'm not going to stop. I just had to get home. And I'm trying to hold in my fear as I'm driving. But I had Lexi call her grandmother, and she lived close by, and I had call her to tell her to get over here to see, to get the dogs, or I just thought it can't be real. It's just not real. But as we approached coming to the house and I seen all the fire trucks, it really hit me. I couldn't get stopped fast enough. Lexi was jumping out of the Jeep before I even got stopped. She was dragging her feet. I'm panicking, and I threw it in park, and I just, I jumped out and I started running, and I don't even know, your cousin was there, your mom, I don't even remember. It's all really a blur, but I was a freak. I just freaked, screaming to get the dogs, and nobody would let me near the house. I mean, I'm sure I wasn't pleasant, as anybody wouldn't be, as something like that when you see your house is fully engulfed in flames and on fire, and all I could think of was get my animals out of that house, because the fire was in the front of the house, and I knew Tinker would be in the kitchen. But everybody was telling me they were already gone, smoke inhalation. My neighbors, I have a good neighborhood here, as I mentioned before. One of my neighbors was passing by my house, and she's the one that saw the fire coming out the far end living room window. And she called the fire department. And my other neighbor, both of these women used to live in my house. They were their sister-in-laws. So they both came here before the fire department got here and tried to get in and save the dogs, but the house was full of smoke, and
there was nothing.
They couldn't rescue them.
It would have been too late within minutes of the fire starting.
Yeah, yeah.
That fire spread so fast that, I mean, it's just, a couple of the neighbors took some pictures, and then later on we saw these pictures, and I looked at the timestamps, and it was like, I think 6 or 7 minutes from smoke visible to the entire front of the house engulfed. Yeah. I mean, it just went up that fast.
I called my dad. He was the first person I called. I called my dad, and he answered the phone, and I guess he thought I was my sister because I was crying and I wasn't making sense. And I told him, I said, my house is burning down, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I think we were all in shock. I was in shock. I mean, it's all a blur to me. Like I said, I really don't remember much. I mean, I just remember dialing my father's number. I needed my family. My family ended up coming. My dad, my stepmom, even my mom and her husband came. Your mom was here, your dad was here, your cousins were here, neighbors. I mean, just all kinds of people. It was just a blur. My one neighbor who tried to get in the house, she got smoke inhalation. She tried to get into the kitchen door. Everybody knows when they come to the house, they always came through the kitchen. And I guess she was in the ambulance. I remember seeing her in there. They tried to get me to sit in the ambulance, and I remember telling them I didn't want to be comfortable. I was just in emotional pain.
You were in shock.
I was in shock, yeah. I just didn't want nobody touching me. I didn't want nothing. I was like, I don't want to be comfortable. I mean, it was like a complete meltdown. I thought I was going to lose it.
So meanwhile, I got the call. I was up in Geneseo training one of my new techs, and I got the call in Geneseo from my cousin who works with a neighbor, and their Ring camera saw the fire. So she calls me up, and that's when I called Marnay. It's 80-mile drive to get from Geneseo to here.
So can you imagine what he went through as he's
thinking?
That
was the longest drive,
yeah.
And I couldn't get solid information on what was going on because she's hysterical, my niece is hysterical, my mom is hysterical. Yeah, finally I talked to my dad, and I remember distinctly him saying, it's done. And I'm like,
total loss.
Okay, at least now I know. So yeah, in fact, she was talking about passing a cop at 80 miles an hour. When I was coming down the road we live on, I wasn't going slow, you understand, and there was a car over in the slow lane, and I just pulled over into the passing lane on a no pass on a double line, and I was going to scoot by him because, I mean, I was doing 80, 85 miles an hour, and then he pulled over in front of me, turned on his lights. It was an undercover cop, and I'm like, I don't care. I pulled back over the passenger lane.
I wasn't stopping
blew
either.
by him, and I'm like, if you're going to pull me over, it's going to be at my house. And it ended up being the fire inspector or the fire investigator, so yeah. he was understanding, but
that was the hardest, roughest day of my life.
Oh yeah. When you go through something like that, like, and I've said this before, but you start measuring time differently. You measure time based on the fire. So,
Yeah.
the time before the fire, we did this and this, and we had this and this, and the time after the fire, it's different. It's a whole new world.
It definitely changes you. And like I said, I've been through a lot of things in my life. I mean, I've been through an accident at a young age. I mean, my parents' divorce. I mean, I've been hit by a car on horseback when I was 20 years old. I've been through a miscarriage, with no family, no phones. I mean, all these things that I've been through, and I'm thinking I'm a survivor. I feel like a warrior, but this fire has taken the life almost out of me. I mean, it's definitely, it changes your whole demeanor, and to make things worse, I lost five pets within 5 months. I lost Quincy and Derby. They were 13 and 15, passing last year. And then the January fire took Millie and my 3-year-old cat and my puppy Tinker, who was not even a year
Millie
old.
was never your favorite.
She was everybody's puppy. She was your dog. She was your dog.
And that dog loved everyone.
She did. She did. Me, I was more bonded to my schnauzers, and I was a little biased, but she was a good dog, and I loved her. Don't get me wrong.
All of my dogs are good. Like, I never have a problem.
Oh, and my dogs were little monsters.
All of my dogs are well behaved. They know right from wrong. They don't make messes. Spoiled. They don't eat the house. This one, on the other hand, her idea of training a dog is just letting them do anything they want and giving them a treat for it when they're done.
Oh, come on, Jim. You act like I'm...
Worst dog trainer in the history of the world.
Okay, well, my dogs were spoiled. I have a hard time punishing. I'm a softie. Mm-hmm. I was a softie. But I'm telling you what, all them dogs were in my sewing room whenever I was upstairs.
You know the hardest part about teaching Tilly stuff?
You're the man. You have the prominent voice, and they listen to you. I'm the mommy. They know I'm the mommy. I'm the sucker. Mm-hmm. I am.
True story. So anyway, that was the what we kind of went through the day of the fire. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that answered any of the questions that you guys have had. I mean, we've had a ton of different questions about that day. So then after that, we went to Mom's house to try to figure out what we were going to do.
We were numb. We didn't eat or sleep for 2 solid days, and that is no lie.
We had no idea what we were going to do
or
how we
were going to do it. To have everything yanked out from underneath you, where you don't have a toothbrush, a bed, clothes, like you said in the beginning, underwear. I mean, we had nothing, I mean, and it's hard to fathom what that is like until you have nothing. Everything of mine burnt in that house.
I can tell you for the first 3 or 4 months, you don't even know what you're missing. Until you're like, I
still
need this
think
widget,
about things.
And I go, oh, I ain't got it.
Yes, I have that ghost thing. Like, oh, I got. No, I don't. I mean, yeah. So it's all my clothing though, everything, jewelry, shoes. There was nothing left. Sewing room, I managed to save out, little bits of fabric, a thimble of all things. I still can't get over that sterling silver thimble that I found out of a whole house burning down. I found the shelf where it was laying on the ground, and I kind of kicked around thinking maybe that thimble's there, and lo and behold, I found it. I still have it. I cleaned it up and put it away. But it's just crazy. My dad told me the day of the fire too, he said, if I would have been home, he says, you would have died in that fire. He said, you would have been saving them animals. And I'm thinking, you know what? I know all of us girls would have been upstairs in my sewing room. And we wouldn't have known, and that smoke would have come up the stairs, and I think it probably would have overtook us all. We would not probably have been able to get out. So it's a horrible, horrible thing either way. Either I could have lost my life, my pets lost their lives in it, so it's just not fair. But
so we moved in with Mom, and then the first couple of days was just kind of assessing stuff, trying to figure out what the next plan is, making phone calls to, insurance agencies, and making, letting the bank know that the house that I've got a mortgage on is now gone, stuff like that. And then it was kind of trying to put together a plan, and I knew early on that we were going to rebuild. I just didn't know how it was going to happen
How or
yet.
what? Yeah.
So, I mean, we kicked around all kinds of ideas about, stick building a small house. I was kind of thinking maybe doing a log house.
I had no idea. I had
We
brain
talked
fog.
about trailers. We talked about double wides. We talked about modulars. I mean, we talked about all kinds of things. So we still didn't really know what we were going to do, but I did know that I had a huge mess here that had to get cleaned up. And so with some help from some friends and some of our neighbors, we were able to bring in dump trucks and dumpsters, and we brought a big excavator down to get it all
He was amazing
cleaned up
to
and
get this
gone.
cleaned up. Your friend Jason brought in that huge excavator.
It was the Wolf Brothers excavator, and then Jason was the operator.
Yeah.
And he was awesome because
he was amazing with that thing.
he understood what we were going through, and rather than just it was a big excavator. It was a 100,000-pound machine, and rather than just taking a giant scoop and throwing it in the dumpster, he would pick stuff up
and let us sort
and
and see if we could find anything to salvage.
And he'd let me go up and dig around and see if I could find something. And we did pull some pots and pans. And
you did manage to save
some kitchen stuff.
My kitchenware. Some of the bowls that were in a cupboard were protected, and you got those out, which is amazing. I mean, we lost our other set of Jeep keys. It was in the kitchen, and you can't think in the moment because at that moment you're in shock and numb.
My Apple Watch.
Yeah, I lost my Apple Watch too.
Watch.
Yeah, I know, I did too.
I absolutely loved it.
Mine was on the charger, and I thought, if I would have thought, because the kitchen didn't burn, it was heavily smoke damaged. Yeah. But here's the thing, you sent me away to the vet. I took Tinker to the vet. I think he was trying to get me out of here, which was crazy.
She needed to go because she was just hysterical.
Yeah, it was really hard. They couldn't get the fire out of our house.
Yeah, so up in the attic, it was kind of sectioned off because of all the times the houses had additions, and they couldn't get enough fire or enough water up into the attic to actually get that extinguished. Like they'd think they'd get it out, and then all of a sudden flames would start trickling out from underneath the shingles or something like that. So the fire department made the decision that the house had to come down, and so they brought in an excavator and tore the house down and then put it out.
That part bothers me because I think we could have salvaged so much more.
Had we not torn it down, we could have salvaged stuff.
A lot out of the kitchen anyway, because the kitchen was the least burnt. It was just heavily smoke damaged.
But then the other piece to that is them tearing it down actually helped me to get rid of the rubble. So it's kind of
it was a mess.
It's a double-edged sword.
It was a punch in the gut every time I would come here and see that pile, and I'd want to try to find stuff, and search, but I don't think he wanted me here, because I'm...
No, I didn't. Because every time she'd come here, she was just so emotional, and
I'm emotionally attached.
Marnie is not somebody that deals with trauma well, at all.
You think I would be. I've been through a lot, but like I said, that's the worst thing I feel I've ever been through in my life,
So as we were cleaning up the rubble is when we were presented with the option of buying this double wide, and it was... like we hadn't even seen the inside of it. I mean, we knew the people that lived there. We knew they were clean and neat and tidy, but we'd never even seen the inside of the house. So at some point we went down and looked at it, and then we talked about it. The problem we had with this house was there was no place for a quilting studio. The bedrooms here are decent sized, but they're not big enough to fit a long arm in, plus all the other sewing stuff that Marnie had, because her other sewing room was, I think, 15 feet wide and probably 20 or 25 feet long. I mean, it was a big room. So we talked about maybe putting a basement in, and we'll put a quilting studio in the basement, and then ultimately we decided to do the studio separate. So
yeah, I did not want a basement.
No, she was, and I didn't, like, I understand why, because she didn't want to feel like she was in a dungeon per se.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of stuff you can do with a basement to make it more cheerful and not feel so like it's a basement.
I don't know. There's just something about it. My old sewing room had all those windows in it, and that's what I loved about that room. Because when we got that house, you had, we were just looking through it before we bought it, and you were the one that said to make that a sewing room. And I was just, it didn't even dawn on me until you said that. And I was like, oh my God, this space for a sewing room. And it had all those windows, 7 windows in that room. I loved all the natural light that came in there. It was just
So on a side story, let's just be honest about when we bought the farmhouse. This is how this went. We pulled up, I saw a 3-car, 2-story garage, and I'm like, I'll buy it. Then we went inside, and I found a room that would work for her sewing room, and I mentioned that to her so I could really seal the deal because I wanted the garage. So that's really the story on the farmhouse.
That farmhouse was, I called it my dream farmhouse because it was always my dream to live in an old farmhouse and fix it up and just make it cozy and comfortable. And that's the thing I loved about that farmhouse. It had good bones. It needed a lot of work, but we put a lot of work into it too. And it was just a happy, comfortable place where you could feel in and you could just come in and relax.
Everybody that came over just felt like they were at home.
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times people would show up and like fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah, it was very comfortable. It was very comfortable.
In fact, the one night we come home and Bonnie, her stepmom, we didn't even know she was in the house. She was in sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, she come there while we weren't there, and she curled up on the couch. They had car troubles,
and they ended up getting a ride or something like that. And we walk in, and there's Bonnie on the couch, and I'm like,
that was funny.
So, but yeah, so we got the debris cleaned up. We made the decision to get the house, and then we were going to build a quilting studio separate. So after we had a plan in place, then at that point we could really get to work. So we had to fill in the old basement, pack that all down, get the forms up for the concrete, get that in, run all the utilities. I did all underground utilities, so all of our electric and all of that stuff is underground because I don't like wires going overhead. I'm pretty notorious for having fairly large equipment around, and I didn't want to take a risk of, driving an excavator down the driveway and ripping out a set of wires or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then after we got the foundation in place, we were kind of waiting for 2 or 3 weeks while the folks we were buying the house off of were getting all of their stuff out because they were having they got a bigger house brought in.
Yeah, they got their house set up over there now. It's really nice.
It's
really
kind of
nice.
exciting.
I'm happy for them.
That house is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
I'm super excited for
But
them.
I'm really happy with this house too, So I mean, this was great for us, and I thought when we first looked at it, I was like, we could make this our own. Yep. And I'm still trying to work on the cozy feel, because it's so
mostly
different.
Decoration. I mean, some of the stuff that we do kind of want to do in the future. I got to get the quilting studio done first, but maybe next winter or next summer, out in the kitchen, we want to put a big island in because the farmhouse had a big island, and she really enjoyed that. It was just a big open workspace.
Yeah, because then you could make a pie or cook, and I do like to get in the kitchen and and make things and cook.
And not only that, but there is actually a lot of counter space in the kitchen here.
It is.
But this one, she likes to put stuff on counters that are decorative instead of like leaving space open for work.
Good usable stuff. I have a mixer and cutting boards.
Wait. Okay, so yeah, she's got all of her kitchen stuff set up all over, taking up all of this counter space. Jim walks in with a hammer, and I put it on the island, and the first thing she says is,
"Your garage is throwing up in my kitchen."
I heard this every 3 days. I put one thing on the counter in the kitchen. She got all of this stuff all over the kitchen. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
It's kitchen-y stuff. It's
hey,
mixers and flour and sugar canisters and cutting boards.
You say it's kitchen-y stuff, but that hammer built that kitchen. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Just saying. So we got the foundation in, got all the utilities put in the ground, and I ended up running all new utilities for basically everything just because when it comes to my utilities, I'm very particular about them. I want my water lines done a certain way. I want my drains done a certain way. I want my electric done a certain way. I want my gas lines run a certain way. So I took care of all of that stuff. We haven't had a single contractor here for anything, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I mean,
no.
It's pretty amazing what you've done in 6 months, Jim. I mean,
yeah, so
you've been a workhorse on this stuff.
We got all that stuff done, got the house brought over. Oh no, we did pay a contractor to move the house.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The one thing.
Yeah, that's
I
a
knew we
gimme.
had somebody.
That's a gimme.
But yeah,
they didn't have to go very far though.
No. So they brought the house over, they put it together, finished the roof. I had to do all of the trim and stuff inside, and then hook up all the utilities. And we had electric. The day after the house was moved,
We had,
electric and water,
yep.
and then sewer was the next day, and then we had to wait on gas for.
And that was
like
like
a
3
week.
or 4 days. I don't know.
Yeah, and we didn't care. Like as soon as we could flush a toilet, we moved in.
Yeah, we were in here. We were so ready to have our own place. It's hard
Yeah.
to live with family, and we're all
And we didn't
stuck
have
together.
because we didn't have gas. We didn't have hot water, so we couldn't shower for like 4 or 5 days or something like that.
Well, I ended up going to your
Yeah.
dad's because I was like, I can't take it anymore. I was like, I gotta have a shower. So me and Glenda went to your dad's and asked if we could use your shower.
and it's kind of neat because like you talk about like perspective. So not having hot water for a week, like this guy showers every morning. Like that's just my normal routine. So that first shower that I took felt amazing.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best showers I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
I just
some
loved
things that
it.
you stick in your mind. To me, the thing that sticks in my mind is when we were staying at your mom, and the neighbors were all taking turn bringing us food, and we didn't eat for those first 2 days, nor did we where we slept. I just couldn't eat, and finally they brought us some kind of stuffed shells, I think it was, and it was like tasting food for the first time.
Yeah.
And I won't ever forget how good those stuffed shells tasted after eating for 2 solid days. And it
Yeah.
was so good.
And the support from the community has been
Yeah, oh my
amazing.
God.
I mean, like I cut down all of the trees on the property because I don't like big trees next to houses, and with the house gone, that was the best time for me to get rid of them. So I cut them all down. Well, I'm out there with a chainsaw and an excavator, and I'm getting branches and stuff, and all of a sudden neighbors just show up with chainsaws. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, it's amazing. When I was doing the buried electrical service, our neighbor across the street here, Ben, he came over, and I mean, he spent a day with me helping me sleeve wire and dropping it in trenches, and so.
Yeah, we've had amazing friends and neighbors and YouTube subscribers, with
Yeah.
the cards and letters and, the gift boxes and the help, I mean, this has been just an amazing journey on our way back to get where we need to be from the help of community and friends and strangers, I mean, we've had so
Yeah.
many strangers come by too, and
then, so we got the house, all the utilities done, and then we got the skirting put around the bottom of the house, and we decided to go with you showed it in another video, but it's like a blue colored,
yeah,
it's actually
because
metal roofing is what
I
it
was
is.
gonna do like a gray or something, I don't know. And when we went to look at the metal, you was like, "You sure you don't want to color?" And I'm thinking, well, the front door and the back door are painted blue, and they had that blue color, and I'm like, well, it kind of matches the blue door, so let's go with that,
Yeah, so
And when we got it, it was like, it's beautiful.
yeah, and I think it's a beautiful color, but the ultimate irony is now the quilting studio is the same color scheme, only instead of the blue being on the bottom, it's on the top.
Yeah.
So I was kind of chuckling a little bit. I'm like, so the people we bought the house off of painted the door, and now our entire property is that color scheme.
I don't know. It works. I like that the studio matches the house because it makes the house feel bigger and it's kind of cohesive, that they belong together. So.
And speaking of the studio, we haven't done an update in a little bit because honestly I haven't gotten much done. One of my technicians out in Binghamton had a heart attack, so I'm covering his area and still doing my regular job. And Binghamton is about a 100-mile drive for me, so I'm driving 200 miles a day just to go out there and fix some stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of exhausted you.
Yeah, I get home at the end of the day and I'm pretty much done.
And let's not forget about the $90 to $100 heat or 100-degree heat we've had out here
every day.
It's been brutally hot, and then here a couple of days ago we had a storm that whisked through here, and I think several counties have been without power. We went without power from yesterday and all of last night till today.
Till this morning. Yeah, and we drove all over to try to find a generator.
It was brutal because we have central air here in this house that Jim put in, and I'm telling you, it's kind of spoiled us. Even Tilly, Tilly couldn't lay down and sleep last night. I couldn't go to sleep. I mean, it was a rough night, you know. So yeah, having no power is pretty rough, you know. So and I know some people in other communities have been without it for days. So I mean, we kind of got lucky, but yeah, it was a nasty storm that blew through here, and I guess some areas kind of got some trees uprooted and.
Oh yeah, there's trees down all over.
Yeah, so it was pretty brutal.
But yeah, that's kind of our 6-month review. I mean, it's
6 months recap. Yeah. So can you believe it's been 6 months and we have a Tilly,
you know,
and he's growing and.
And one thing I'd like to say to people out there, if you ever go through something like this, don't focus on what you lost. Focus on what the future is. Because if you get caught up in everything that you lost and you get caught up in all of the emotion that goes with that, you're not able to take steps forward, and you'll end up just kind of freezing and not getting anything done, and it doesn't help you. So if you do go through, and not just a fire, I mean any major trauma, it doesn't matter what it is.
And I can say that's very great advice.
Focus on the future.
Because Jim has told me that from the get-go, and honestly, I still struggle with thinking about things and overthinking.
If you have a hard time getting started, start with a small thing, okay? That small thing may just be, I'm going to get up and get dressed today. And if you accomplish that goal for that day, cool. Then the next day, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going to do this. And then the day after, you're going to get 2 things, 3 things, 4 things done, until finally you kind of get back into your normal swing of stuff and keep moving.
Yeah. I don't know if it's not an easy road, because I still struggle mentally. I do. I mean, there's some days I get up and I feel anxious. I have a lot of anxiety still. I still struggle in my mind, you know, with my pets and, you know, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, you know, I think about a lot. So, I mean, it's something that you have to process through your mind. But yes, looking forward and moving forward is definitely the best advice that you can take.
You can't change the past, but you can control the future.
No.
So even if it seems helpless, because I'm here to tell you, like, the first 2 or 3 days after the fire, we were absolutely helpless. I mean, we didn't own anything except our vehicles, and I still had my tools. And I am so thankful for that, because if I had lost my tools too, then I'm not sure we would have been able to get as far as we have.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's a lot of money that have got invested in tools, and to replace them all, plus go through the building and materials and all that stuff, would have been a nightmare. But if you have trauma in your life, a couple of things: look for the future. Have a plan, figure out what your next step is, and 3, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. I'm just throwing that out there for you guys. So whether that's a friend, whether that's spiritual guidance, whether that's a professional counselor, you got to talk to somebody. Get it off your chest.
Yeah. You tell me that a lot too.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
I know. I do struggle still. You know, I feel, I don't know. I feel like, you know, I don't have no get up and go sometimes, but I'm trying to stay strong. And I know I think a lot of people see me strong on the outside, but inside I still struggle. But I think
she's like Jello.
Yeah. Well, I think once I get back in my studio and I get sewing and stuff.
I think that's going to help you out a lot.
I think that's, you know, because I
that's
still feel lost, you know, and I haven't really, you know, videoed or, I mean, I've been working and I've been sewing here in the dining room and stuff, but, and I don't know, I should set up the camera, but sometimes I'm like, is it good enough to show? I don't know, sometimes I just feel lost, and I still kind of struggle, but
yeah. I mean, I do think it's good that you're going down to Erin's.
Yeah, I needed routine or something, you know.
And speaking of which, if any of you guys want to visit, she's going to be working at Sheet Sew Creative every Friday. So if you want to come down and just say hi, come on down, say hi. Yeah. She'll be there.
Yeah, Erin would love to see anybody that would love to drop by her shop and getting tongue-tied. But yeah.
Bleep, 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 bleep. That's all, folks. That was the first video she ever did.
That was not really meant to be a video, but it was so funny.
No. So what she recorded that on her phone, and
that
it was
in my little apartment before we ever even got together.
And she showed me the video. This was when I
we were dating.
Met you.
Yeah.
And she showed me the video. I'm like, that's funny. I'm like, you should put that on YouTube. And she's like, I don't know how. And I'm like, I created a YouTube channel
for it.
for it.
Yeah, so if you ever see that video from the very beginning, it's called Silly Dogs, and it was with Quincy and Derby, and Quincy and Derby were my babies. You know, I'd had them both since they were puppies. They'd been through a lot with me, and
well, she was recording them ripping around and playing with toys, and then she ended the video with a bleep, bleep, bleep. That's all, folks.
I was just being goofy, you know. I mean, I'm a goofy girl sometimes, believe me. I just don't like people to see me being goofy, you know. And I thought, well, you know, I don't know.
And then here we are. I think you got, what, a couple hundred videos up now?
Yeah, I do. And you said that your daughter said that I should do like a vlog.
Yeah,
so I don't really know what vlogging is, but I guess it's.
Would anybody be interested in watching a vlog for Marnay, where like she just kind of takes you through her
daily life, or a peek inside of my life? I mean, I'm kind of I don't let a lot out there, you know, for people to see, I guess, or see the real me, or.
Yeah, I mean, I could videotape her when she first gets up in the morning and her makeup's all like, and her hair. In fact, I've got a couple of beautiful pictures I can throw right up there for you.
Great, yeah. I mean.
Or better yet, when she first gets out of the shower and her makeup's running down her face, looks like she got raccoon eyes. Those are the really good ones.
Those are the only things that you should see. I always tell Jim, you know, when you got me, you got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and sometimes it's ugly. So, life's not perfect. I'm not perfect, you know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I've always felt funny about, you know, letting people into my world. You know, I feel like I live in my own little world sometimes, you know, and. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if y'all are interested in my crazy little life here or what I do, you know, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm an oddball, but, you know, I mean, I have things that I like to do. I like to sew, I like to cook, you know, and sometimes I'm just hanging out in the house talking goofy to Tilly, you know.
Oh, yeah, that'd be another good one to catch on video, watching her play with the dog.
Yeah, we have a good
Or
time.
better yet, watching how she trains a dog. That's awesome.
How would I train a dog?
You don't.
No.
It would be an absolute
He trains
video.
me. He gets up in the morning and tells me he wants a scrambled egg for breakfast, and I make him
scrambled
egg.
He goes over.
He
when
tells
we gather
me when
the
he wants
eggs,
to
we
go
put
out.
them in a basket on the counter until we can get them washed and put away. And he'll go over to that basket. He'll reach his hand up and like try to try to paw at that basket to say, "Hey, I want my."
He wants a scrambled egg, you know, and he gets really excited when I scramble him an egg, and I put a little of his kibble in it. And
the dog gets a scrambled egg every morning. You know what this guy gets every morning? Whatever I fix.
Oh my God!
Just throwing it out there.
No, you've been getting up before me to make the coffee. You usually make the coffee, or I make the coffee, but you've been making the coffee lately, so I can't even say I make you coffee. I love you, darling.
Yeah, I want a scrambled egg in the morning.
Okay, I'll make you one too. I do make scrambled eggs better than he does.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Mine are pretty and they're fluffy.
Yeah, she made there's nice fluffy,
perfect,
beautiful scrambled eggs, and mine looks like a fried egg that I like chopped into
pieces.
It's all
brown and yeah, it doesn't look appetizing.
It tastes the same though. I mean, hey, real quick, how many people put ketchup on their eggs? In the comments below, how many people put ketchup on their eggs?
Yeah, I like ketchup.
At first she thought I was nuts when I put ketchup on my eggs.
I did it when we were a kid, but I just hadn't had ketchup on my eggs since I was a kid, and you kind of reminded me of it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I haven't done that in a long time. I mean, I'm not really a big of a ketchup fan, but yeah, I eat ketchup on my eggs. It's just not something I do.
How did we get into talking about scrambled eggs?
Tilly.
Boy, this is kind of taking like a strong turn.
I know, we're all over the place. We're like We're like a roller coaster. I don't know. You get
That's the
on
way
these
she is.
tangents.
That's the way she is all the time. I call it butterfly syndrome.
Scatterbrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell her, I'm like, hey, honey, we're going to go to the store. Throw your shoes on. She's okay, I'll go get my shoes on. And then on the way in, she's going to fold the blankets on the couch. And then she's going to go over here and she's going to take care of that. And then she's going to go over here.
I do. I'm a neat freak.
I'm sitting in the Jeep with it running going.
Yeah, I get in the Jeep and I don't even get buckled up or barely get the door closed and you're throwing it in gear to get us out of the driveway.
Because I've been waiting for 10 minutes for you to get in the Jeep.
Well, when I'm putting on my shoes and I have a minute to straighten something or fold a blanket or, that sort of thing, I do.
She's not capable of going from point A to point B.
No, I'm a neat freak. I like things put in. I get up every morning. I make the bed. I don't know if y'all make your beds, but my grandma taught me to make my bed every morning. I make my bed. He teases me about making the bed. I'm like, when I go to bed at night, I want it to be like unwrapping a package. I want to get in that bed and, like you're going to a hotel room or something.
There's so many mornings, I don't even know when she made the bed. Like, I walk in, I'm like, oh, the bed fairy showed up again, huh?
Well, that's where you rest your body. You get your best sleep. I want a nice bed to crawl into at night, and in the morning I make it all up nice and neat and pretty, and I put all my pretty pillows back on there, and it's just,
That's another thing this guy doesn't understand, those pillows.
I like a bed that's pretty,
I don't.
that draws me in at the end of the night, and I want to get in there and, I want to get in this bed and crawl in there.
I don't understand putting something someplace just to pick it up and move it.
Well, because it's pretty, it draws you in there.
It's our bedroom.
It's just like my sewing room, I like my sewing room to be pretty in a place that I gravitate to, that you want to go in there. That's the way, that's the way I see it, I like to surround myself with pretty things that I feel comfortable in and it draws me in.
You do you, boo.
Yeah, well, I do pretty good at taking care of you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm still alive.
Okay.
All right, I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yep. So I'll try to keep you updated on when we get the sheetrock up in the sewing space because I am really definitely getting excited to decorating that space because I have been out shopping at Hobby Lobby on their sales days and got all kinds of, pretties and pictures and fun things. And I've been to some estate sales and it's going to be great. So when that room gets done, and I'll bring you all in for the decorating process because that's something I'm really excited to do.
Oh, do you want to talk about the colors?
Oh yeah, we went to Home Depot tonight.
Yeah, we went to Home Depot tonight, and she picked out
I picked out a pale yellow
for the walls. The ceiling will be white, and then by the coffee bar, I think we're gonna do.
It was some kind of like a linen color, I think.
Yeah, it was like a light gray.
No, it was like a light beige kind of color. I don't know. Yeah. It was a really light beige. I think it was called linen or something, antique linen or antique lace, something like that.
So that's kind of what we're thinking of.
We tossed around about colors. So yeah, I wanted to kind of tell you when the sheetrock goes up and we get it all ready to paint, I want a nice light color in there. I don't want a dark color or a bright color. I want a light color. So I know I was thinking like a teal or something, and a lot of people had said white. But I think I'm going to go with a pale yellow, and I picked out a color that's called Sunflower Seed, and it's a very light yellow, but it's happy, and I think will reflect the light that comes through the windows and those French doors. So it'll be a really good color.
Yeah, if anybody's got a sewing room with a light yellow in it, drop in the comments what you think of it, and if you think it'll work or not.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm excited, to do that. So I'm trying to think ahead.
Speaking of comments, this one is way behind on reading comments.
Yes, I know. I have a hard time sitting down, but I've tried to catch them up, Yeah. I do read all your comments, and I appreciate it.
Yes,
so
she does.
I do. I just, I need to sit down. Like in the mornings when I'm having my coffee, I try to get on there. But there's so many distractions and derailments that, like you said, butterfly syndrome. I'm all over the place. So yeah.
And her friend Erin is the same way.
Yeah, we're two peas in a pod. We are. Oh my God.
Yeah, I watch Erin interact with Marnay, and I'm like, oh my God, they're like twins. Like
I don't know how. It's ironic that we found each other because you and Todd are so much alike, and me and Erin are so much alike.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, it's just so ironic that we have friends like that, that we stumbled into them. I actually stumbled into Erin and Todd, and we've all become such best friends, It's crazy cool. But me and Erin went to the Hobby Lobby the other day, and of course I went down there to ride with her to get some kind of a stand for her shop, and yeah, I ended up finding all kinds of things for my new studio. So I'm like, I can't wait to decorate, and I can't wait for everybody to see. It's gonna be a fun time.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to update you. Oh, and our anniversary is coming up the 24th too.
What part of let's wrap it up?
Okay, yeah. But I know we were updating for the 6 months, but the 6-month anniversary date for our fire was the 23rd. Our marriage anniversary is the 24th. Crazy. So 3 years with this guy. 3 years married, I should say. It's more like 8 years.
And
we've been together 8 years.
What we think we're going to do for our anniversary is, what month did we decide on? August?
September.
September. Oh. September, we're going to take a trip out to Missouri Star Quilt.
Missouri Star Quilt Company in Hamilton, Missouri. That is like one of my, oh my gosh, I really want to go there.
Best husband ever.
Yeah. What do they call Missouri, Hamilton? It's like Quilt Town, USA. I want to go to Quilt Town, USA, because this girl is a quilter, and sewing is my passion. So
we're trying to get some dates set up and figure out exactly when we're gonna do it. I'm actually gonna take vacation, which is I think the first time.
And he never takes vacation, so yeah.
I haven't taken vacation since we got married.
Wow. So we have some good things. Good things, you know. Like I said, we're at a good point at our 6-month, you know, date to, you know, and we got an anniversary coming up. We have plans, so a lot of things to look forward to.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna wrap it up because she won't.
Yeah, so I'm like.
Thank you for watching. Yes. If you like the video or you want to see some more, you got some advice for us, drop it in the comments. Hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, come on, you know how to do that. All right, we'll catch you later.
All right, have a good night.